Maldonado, Negrete McLeod, Oropesa, Padilla, Price, Romero, Runner, Simidian, Steinberg, Strickland, Walters, Wiggins, Wolk, Wright, Weiland, Yee.
The absence of a quorum has been noted. The Sergeant-at-Arms will lock the doors and call the absent members. A quorum is present. Would the members and our guests beyond the rail and in the galleries please rise? We will be led in prayer this afternoon by our chaplain, Rabbi Mona Alfi, after which please remain standing. We will be led in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag by Senator Onestad.
Good afternoon. In 1864, in a letter to a group that disagreed with his course of action, President Lincoln responded to them by writing, "I desire so to conduct the affairs of this administration that if by at the end, when I come to lay down the reins of power, I have lost every other friend on earth, I shall at least have one friend left, and that friend shall be down inside of me." What Lincoln referred to as a friend down inside himself, the prophet Elijah would have known as the still small voice. Others might call it our conscience or moral compass. But by whatever name we call it, at the end of the day, each of us will have to take an accounting of all our actions and all our words and face ourselves and our Maker for all that we have done while on this earth. We pray to the Holy One that our deeds and words be found worthy of our highest aspirations and that we be remembered for having acted with honor and integrity. May this be God's will. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a good day.
Thank you. Privileges of the floor. Without objection, Senators Cogdill and Wright have asked for permission to have photographers on the floor. Without objection, so ordered. Other privileges of the floor. Senator Cox.
Mr. President, members, I rise this morning to adjourn in the memory of Army Specialist Trevor Hogue of Granite Bay. Trevor was just 24 years old when he returned home from the battlefields of Iraq and tragically took his own life. Trevor attended Granite Bay High School and began his studies at Chico State before enlisting in the Army. Trevor joined the Army in a time of war because he wanted to carve out his own identity and to serve his country. He excelled in boot camp and won an award for an outstanding soldier while in training. In Iraq, Trevor patrolled some of Baghdad's most dangerous neighborhoods and had significant combat experience. Members, Trevor will be missed by his mother, Donna, his dad, Rod, and his sister, Tracy. Ask that we adjourn in memory of Trevor Hogue of Granite Bay.
Thank you, Senator Cox, and we'll ask that you bring the name forward to the desk so that we can be certain to memorialize, and please convey our sympathies to friends and family. Senator Correa, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Mr. President, I'd like permission to bring on the floor my son Andres, who's here visiting us.
Without objection, Senator Correa. Thank you very much. Are there other privileges of the floor? Under motions, resolutions, and notices, members? Senator Cogdill.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. It's a great honor that I have this morning to introduce Ashley Hoffman, the 2009 Miss Rodeo California. Ashley grew up in beautiful Steinbeck country in the Salinas Valley and was previously Miss Rodeo Clovis. Ashley has a number of accomplishments. Just to name a few, she studied dance in Tahiti and conditioned horses in Argentina. And in high school, her science project earned her a trip to the International Science Fair in Germany. She's a graduate of Stanford University, and she was the captain of the Stanford Western Equestrian Team and now serves as that team's assistant coach. As Miss Rodeo California, she's been traveling across the state as a goodwill ambassador to the sport of rodeo. Later this year, she will represent California at the Miss Rodeo America pageant. I think we can all agree that this talented young woman will be an extraordinary representative of the Golden State. Please join me in wishing her the best of luck in the national competition. And we have this very handsome California Senate resolution to present Ashley. Ashley.
Thank you very much, Senator Cogdill. Members, do we have other items under motions, resolutions, and notices? Senator Onestad, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
To present a certificate of gratitude.
Please proceed.
Members, today we honor CHP Officer Roger Smith, who is based out of the Red Bluff office in Tehama County. Roger Smith saved the life of a fellow officer, David Madrigal. Last December, Officer Madrigal had responded to an incident and had been shot in the leg while investigating a domestic disturbance call. Officer Smith retrieved the wounded officer from the porch, carried him to his car, and took him to the near ambulance. With us in the chamber today are Officer Smith, Officer Madrigal, who is back on the job just the last 2 weeks, and their commander, Lieutenant Harry Linshopton. I'm also pleased that CHP Commissioner Joe Farrow is with us today. Officer Smith, on behalf of the California State Senate, for your bravery and for saving the life of a fellow officer, please accept this certificate of recognition and the gratitude of the members of the California State Senate for a job well done. Thank you. Mr. President, I had asked if any one of them wanted to make any comments, and they said rather than speak to the California State Senate, they'd rather go through what they just went through. We have also Officer Madrigal with us, and I want you to just say, welcome back to the job, Officer Madrigal.
Members, further business under motions, resolutions, and notices. Senator Wright, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Members, today it's my honor, fortunately it's on a much lighter note than the previous introduction. It's my honors today, members, to introduce the winners of the California State Track and Field Championships. This year we had 4 teams that tied for the boys' championship and 1 team that tied for the girls' championship. And we also have a particular honor in that we're recognizing 2 Olympians today who are also in the audience. I'd like to ask if they would, Senators Lowenthal, Liu, Cogdill, Dutton, and Ashburn, if they would retreat to the rear of the chambers, as it is their students who are the winners of this year's track and field championship. As some of you know, the track and field championship in California is one of the oldest track and field events in the country. It's produced more Olympic athletes and more world records than any other event. I want to hurry up and move through this. Again, there are 1,300 schools in California, and they participate. It is private schools and public schools as well. This year, the event was held in Clovis at the brand new stadium at Buchanan High School, which has to be one of the finest high school stadiums that I've ever seen. There was one national record set by Reggie Wyatt of La Sierra High School of 35.02 in the 300-meter intermediate hurdles. I'm going to take a moment now and recognize first from Cathedral High School. I'm going to skip just to do this in the interest of time, Mr. President. The Phantoms of Cathedral High School, represented by my colleague Carol Liu in Los Angeles. The young men are Kevin Alley, Randall Carroll, Davion Gregory, Taj Hassan, Kristen Ivory, and Anthony Jefferson. Accepting the resolution for Cathedral High School is Coach Roosevelt Ivory, Jr. Please welcome the Cathedral High School Phantom. Okay, switch up.
And Senator Wright, if you'd like to move to Senator Steinberg's microphone, we'll activate that microphone for you to welcome your guests.
Thank you much. I'm going to move now to one of the other schools. I love to remind people that the event is called Track and Field. And oftentimes people forget that there are field events that count just as much as do the other events. Senator Cogdill represents Clovis East High School. Here today from Clovis East High School are coaches A.J. Blackburn, Jim Farmer, Lindsey Hall, Dustin Mazoff, Ron Murray, and Tran Sanders. All of their events this year were in field events. They count just as much as the other events. Please welcome from Clovis East High School, the state champions for 2009. Yeah, I'm going to keep going with this. One of the other schools that was recognized in the meet, they only had one athlete who competed, but he was a double winner. He won the 400 meters, and as I mentioned, Reggie Wyatt set an interscholastic record in the 300-meter intermediate hurdles. From the district of Senator Robert Dutton in Riverside, please welcome the team from La Sierra High School. And accepting the resolution will be Dr. Norman Diaz and Will Jacob Meyer, in addition to our national interscholastic record holder, on his way, by the way, to UCLA. Excuse me. Okay, excuse me, my bad. Okay. USC, pardon me. Reggie Wyatt from La Sierra High School in Riverside, California.
Senator Wright, please be assured the Senate welcomes your guest wherever he may be headed.
But rest assured, when you set an interscholastic record, you will be headed somewhere. Members, I'd now like to recognize from Frontier High School in Bakersfield. They too had one athlete who was the champion. He won the discus and the shot put in the same meet. He's actually going to be a football player in his later life. Please welcome from Frontier High School, and as I'm scrolling through notes here, Matt Barr and Coach David Gaeta, represented by my colleague from Bakersfield, Senator Roy Ashburn. He could dunk, right? No. Thank you. And now, last but certainly not least, and actually here I'm going to cheat a little bit, and I'm going to ask Coach Irving if she would come so that I don't really mess up some of the athletes' names. But some of you have seen them before. They're the Lady Jackrabbits from Long Beach Poly. And I'm going to ask Crystal if she'd read their names, but the girls' champion, there was only one this year, the Lady Jackrabbits from Long Beach Poly.
Jalen Branch, Malia Cox, Alexis Dalton, Destiny Gamage, Dynasty Gamage, Tracy Hicks, Latasha Johnson, Sharona Johnson, Tia Link, Nyasha Logan, Charisma Lede, Akoko Digpagbor, Kaylin Squash, Tara Richmond, and Erica Winston. Coaches, Don Norford, myself, Crystal Irving, Doc Moy, Kristen Bryce, and Jim Richardson.
Welcome to the California State Senate.
Now, Alan Lowenthal, Jenny Orpeza, and I fight about who takes credit for Long Beach Poly. Alan has the school physically in his district, and most of the kids live in my district, so. But here to help me present, and I don't see Senator Orpeza, but Long Beach representatives, myself and Senator Alan Lowenthal, who represent the great program at Long Beach Poly. Now, as I hurry up and get out of the way, because I don't want to hog up all the time, one of the other things that we do is we present the students with championship rings that are provided by sponsors, and we were also able to arrange transportation. We're also going to do a lunch today at the Esquire Grill, and we try to have inspirational speakers who come and address the young people. This year, I'm proud to say we have two fine Olympians who will address the young people. Some of you may remember the Mexico Olympic Games in 1968. My good friend, who was the bronze medalist in the Mexico Olympics in the 200 meters, former world record holder in that event. He also ran the 100. He was a part of the great teams at San Jose State when it was known as Speed City. Please welcome for recognition today, and he will be addressing the young people later on, Dr. John Carlos. And last but certainly not least, in the 1996 Olympics, you would have seen her running the 4x1 relay, the 100, and the 200. She's a graduate of Muir High School in Pasadena. Her father was a gold medalist in the Olympics from Jamaica. She herself is a gold medalist, and her godfather is a Olympic medalist. Godfather is Don Quarry. Her father's name was Lennox Miller, who also anchored a world record-setting 4x1 relay team. But in her own right, she has a gold medal, and she was also a California state champion. Here again is one of our inspirational speakers to the young people, Olympic gold medalist, California state champion. Please welcome Inger Miller.
Senator Wright, we want to recognize once again and applaud the accomplishments of all of your guests today. I want to thank you for organizing this event on their behalf. And why don't we ask the California State Senate to give one more round of applause, so well deserved by all of our visitors today. Members, do we have additional business under motions and resolutions? Senator Flores at Senator Steinberg's desk. Senator?
Thank you. Today is Sports Day in the California State Senate. I would like members to get your attention for a moment. I'd like to present a resolution to a special guest who is our Fresno State women's softball coach, Miss Marjorie Wright. Please give her a hand. Appreciate that.
All right, welcome to the California State Senate.
And I do want the members to know that Ms. Wright is the NCAA's all-time winning coach. Her teams have won over 300 games in the Western Athletic Conference. She's the first coach in history to have reached this level of success in this conference. And I do believe the Fresno State softball team has never had a losing season in 31 years of the program. And this was this team's straight, actually this 28th straight trip to the NAACP. I wanted to highlight her success today. We have young people here, but more importantly, we also have some diversity in our sports, and I wanted to make sure Coach Wright was here. Please give her a hand. I would like to honor her on behalf of the California State Senate for all her great success and hopefully more titles. So please give her a hand.
One more, thank you. Thank you. And Senator Wiggins, for what purpose do you rise?
I have Senate Bill SJR 5, but I think it's premature.
We will come back to that item. Thank you very much, Senator. Senator Denham, for what purpose do you rise?
Adjourn in memory.
Why don't we wait just one moment? Senator proceed. Senator Denham, please proceed.
Mr. President, members, I rise to adjourn in memory of Kirk Lindsay. He's been a leader in transportation throughout the state on the California Transportation Commission. He passed away suddenly last Thursday. It was a surprise while he had been ill. It certainly did come as a surprise to all of us. He's going to be missed. Certainly, he's going to have a military funeral this Saturday. You're all invited. He's a disabled veteran that served his country proudly, also served his state very proud. He was very focused on service, and he will be missed.
Thank you, Senator Denham. Please be sure to bring the name forward to the desk so that the in memoriam may be duly noted, and please convey our sympathies to friends and family as well as our thanks for service. Senator Ashburn, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
Mr. President, I have a letter to the Journal. It has been approved on both sides. It deals with Senate Bill 41 and Senate Bill 449, and I ask that this letter be entered into the Journal.
Without objection, so ordered. Thank you, Senator. Senator Steinberg, for what purpose, sir?
Thank you, Mr. President. For purpose of taking up some gubernatorial appointments.
Proceed.
File item 40. Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we urge the confirmation of Rachel Rios as the Director of the Division of Juvenile Parole Operations, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Ms. Rios was heard on the 29th of April, 5-0 vote. There was no opposition, but we did in fact put off the vote until the Division of Juvenile Justice could produce an actual measure of recidivism so that there could be some standard by which to measure success. And though the department has not completed that work at this point, they've begun collecting the data, and we believe it is appropriate now to move forward Ms. Rios' nomination. Urge and I vote.
Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary will call the roll.
Onnested. Aye. Alquist. Aye. Ashburn. Aye. Benoit. Aye. Calderon. Aye. Cedillo. Aye. Cogdill. Aye. Corbett. Aye. Correa. Cox. Aye. Denham. Aye. DeSaulnier. Aye. DeCheney. DeCheney. Aye. Dutton. Aye. Flores. Aye. Hancock. Aye. Harmon. Aye. Hollingsworth. Huff. Aye. Kehoe. Aye. Leno. Aye. Liu. Aye. Lowenthal. Aye. Maldonado. Aye. Negrete McLeod. Aye. Oropesa. Padilla. Aye. Pavley. Aye. Price. Aye. Romero. Runner. Simidian. Aye. Steinberg. Aye. Aye. Strickland. Aye. Walters. Aye. Wiggins. Aye. Wolk. Aye. Wright. Weiland. Aye. Yee. Yee, aye. Correa, aye.
Secretary, call the absent members.
Hollingsworth. Aye. Oropesa. Romero. Runner. Wright. Mr. President, ayes 36, no 0.
Ayes 36, no 0. The appointment is confirmed. Senator Steinberg.
Thank you. File item 42, please.
Proceed.
Purpose of this measure is to approve the nominations of the following people: Bo Derek and David Israel as members of the California Horse Racing Board, Bradley Franklin, Kane Silverberg, and Paul Slavic as members of the Off-Highway Motor Vehicle Recreation Commission, and Steve Pontel as a member of the Santa Ana Regional Water Quality Board. That is 6 nominees, not quite 10. I'd urge and I vote.
Is there any objection to substituting the unanimous roll call? If not, ayes 36, noes 0. The appointments are confirmed. Senator Steinberg, any further appointments?
Finally, item 43, Mr. President, Adam Hubbard as a member of the California Arts Council, Robert Doyle, Bonnie Dumanis, Jeffrey Lundgren, and Lori Smith as members of the Commission on Peace Officer Standards and Training. They were all voted out of Rules Committee 5-0 on June the 3rd. We'd urge and I vote.
Is there any objection to substituting the unanimous roll call? Seeing and hearing none, ayes 36, noes 0. The appointments are approved. Senator Steinberg, does that complete the appointments for today? It does. Senator Flores, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Mr. President. I do have an adjourn in memory when it is appropriate, so I'll just...
At this time, sir.
Okay. Members, it's great sadness today that we adjourn today the Senate floor in memory of Luke Cole. Luke passed away last week from a fatal accident while on vacation in Uganda. Most of you know him. He was only 46 years old. He served as the executive director of the Center on Race, Poverty, and the Environment. He spent much of his career, not just in the Central Valley, but throughout the state, helping those who had very little voices and could not help themselves. He has always been a leader in environmental justice, even before that term was coined. And I can tell you that having worked with Luke, not only knowing he was a graduate of Stanford and Harvard Law School, but came back to the communities, could have been doing lots of other things, but spent most of his life fighting the high-level pollutants that continue to poison many in the Central Valley. I do know Luke will be missed by many, especially the second family from the Center on Race, Poverty, and the Environment. I do know that Brent Newell and Carolyn Farrow are here with us in the back of the chambers. And I would like to mention, members, he is survived by his wife, Nancy Shelby, who was also injured in Uganda. He has a son, Zane Shelby, who resides in Boston. And I hope that the entire Senate will all pray for his family, and we'll adjourn in memory with who was an absolute wonderful hero for the state of California, Luke Cole.
Thank you, Senator Flores. Our sympathies to friends and family, and please be sure to bring the name forward to the desk for proper note. Senator Cedillo, for what purpose do you rise, sir?
On a lighter note, just to bring acknowledgement in, and you'll notice that Senator Correa, Senator Lowenthal, the pro tem are wearing what's called Laker blue. But the Lakers brought the NBA championship back to California, wrestled it away from Orlando, took it appropriately back from Boston, and California is now again represented as the NBA champion, the 15th, I'll note, for our glorious Los Angeles Lakers, or as they're known in my district, Los Lakers.
Thank you, Senator Cedillo. Duly, if grudgingly, noted. Senator Denham, for what purpose do you rise?
Mr. President, to adjourn in memory of Eduardo Silva, 101st Airborne Division soldier who died in Bagram, Afghanistan last Tuesday. He also served in Iraq. Eduardo graduated from Greenfield High School in the 12th Senate District in 2002 and then joined the Army in 2006.
Thank you, Senator Denham. Our sympathies to friends and family, and please bring the name forward to the desk. Members, at this time, if there are no other items under motions and resolutions, we will proceed to Assembly Third Reading. Assembly Third Reading, that is file item 50 through 66. And let me ask if there are members ready to take these items up, beginning with file item 50. File item 50, file item 51, file item 52, file items 53, 54, and 55 are proposed for special consent. File item 56, file item 57 and 58 are proposed for special consent. File item 59, file item 60 is proposed special consent. 61 members. File item 61. File items 62 and 63 and 64 are all proposed special consent. File item 65, Senator Leno. Secretary will read.
Assembly Joint Resolution 9 by Assemblymember John A. Perez, relative to the Ryan White HIV/AIDS Treatment Modernization Act of 2006.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, this joint resolution urges Congress and the President to enact legislation extending for 3 years through September of 2012 the Ryan White HIV/AIDS Treatment Modernization Act of 2006, including the existing formula-based funding for states with maturing names-based HIV reporting systems. Without legislation, the Act will sunset September 30th of this year, and the state would stand to lose more than $300 million federal dollars, critical funding for individuals and families that do not have sufficient health care coverage or financial resources for coping with HIV diseases. Without these protections that exist in the Ryan White Act for states that do not have fully matured names-based HIV data systems, such as California, we could suffer a substantial reduction in formula funding, only exacerbating our current budget crisis. I would ask for your aye vote.
Debate or discussion? Debate or discussion? Seeing and hearing none, Secretary will call the roll.
Onnested? Aye. Alquist? Aye. Ashburn? Benoit? Aye. Calderon? Aye. Cedillo? Aye. Cogdill? Aye. Corbett? Aye. Correa? Aye. Cox? Aye. Denham? Aye. DeSaulnier? Aye. Ducheney? Dutton? Aye. Flores? Aye. Hancock? Aye. Harmon? Aye. Hollingsworth? Aye. Huff? Aye. Kehoe? Aye. Leno? Aye. Liu? Aye. Lowenthal? Aye. Maldonado? Aye. Negrete McLeod? Aye. Oropesa? Padilla? Aye. Pavley? Aye. Price? Aye. Romero? Runner? Semidion?
Aye.
Aye. Steinberg? Aye. Strickland? Aye. Walters? Wiggins? Aye. Wolk? Aye. Wright? Wyland? Aye. Yee? Yee, aye. Ducheney, aye. Ashburn, aye. Mr. President, ayes 35, no 0.
Ayes 35, noes 0. The resolution is adopted. Members, is there any other business to come before the Senate? We have consent calendar. Without objection, we will substitute the unanimous roll call. Ayes 36, noes 0. The consent calendar is approved. If there's no other business, Senator Steinberg, the desk is clear.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Conference committee will go into session this afternoon. Will complete its work either tonight or tomorrow. We will then be preparing to get to the floor as soon as possible on the budget revision. In the meantime, there will be a check-in session tomorrow, check-in session on Wednesday, and a session at 9 o'clock on Thursday morning. But I would encourage members to keep their calendars relatively clear beginning the weekend and early next week. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Steinberg. The Senate will be in recess until 3:30, at which time the adjournment motion will be made. We will reconvene Thursday at 9 a.m. The Senate is in recess.